Coming up on TekThing, Roku 4 hands-on review, DMCA exemptions are back, elementary OS hands-on, and why Linux can be a pain in the posterior. There's drool on this Surface Pro 4, and it's all coming up on TekThing. If you get something useful out of this episode of TekThing, please consider contributing to the show at patreon.com/TekThing. We're brought to you by viewers just like you. Thank you so much.
I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm Patrick.
And this is TekThing, where we make technology behave.
Except when it keeps us up all night, weeping.
Until 5 a.m.
Well, then the baby got up at 5:30. That's a whole nother story. You know, it's kind of like cicadas. They come every 17 years.
What?
No, this is good. This is a good transition. You're going to like it. Cicadas, right? You remember cicadas, the idea of cicadas?
Yes, I remember them.
You know, like you heard them once, and then years later they come back to ruin your sleep and destroy all the fauna in your neighborhood. Oh. Or flora, I guess. Cicadas don't really eat sheep or anything. In any case, every 3 years, the Librarian of Congress gets to figure out what we can break copy protection on. And that thing just happened. Cory Doctorow, freedom fighter of the internet's EFF aficionado, former EFFD. I love Cory Doctorow, he's good people. He did a great write-up on Boing Boing, explaining not just what the exemptions are, cars, games, phones, tablets, and remixing DVDs and Blu-rays, but just how difficult the exemptions are and how ridiculous the entire process is in real life. So it's I'm up on boingboing.net right here, and I just want to,
I love this article, by the way.
Section 1201, it's great. He's amazing. I don't know how he writes as much as he does. I think his sleep's been removed, and that's a Buffy reference, and if you get it, you're laughing. If you don't, you're probably staring. And it's actually not a Buffy reference. It's a Angel reference, but that's a whole other conversation. So Section 1201 of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act basically says, you can't remove copy protection, right?
Right.
But the Librarian of Congress gets to make decisions.
Oh boy.
Well, it's really interesting, right? So it's messy, right? Mm-hmm. So they decided you can do things, but no one's allowed to make the tools for you to do the thing. So it's okay for you to put any operating system on your phone or tablet, but no one can do anything that breaks any copy protection on the operating system on your phone or tablet. It's okay for you,
me,
should you be a particularly gifted hacker of a particularly peculiar sort, to say reach deep into the operating system of your car's computer. But it's not okay for your mechanic to do it for you, right? It's messy. The entire process is messy because it basically involves groups like the EFF going, hey, we think people should be able to use the video games even after the servers break. Or, they've walked away from this intellectual property. Let's make it available for everyone. Because remember, copyright used to be for like 20 years, and then it would open up, and it would become part of the public domain, and everyone could use it. And Disney laughed and sent more lawyers over. But, that's a whole other story.
Oh yeah, I know that story.
Yeah. So, but this gets really important because so many things right now, firmware is so important, right? So what if a popular router manufacturer put copy protection on its router operating system and then did what router companies do, which is stop supporting it after 6 months or 6 weeks or 6 weeks before you bought it?
Then you're kind of screwed.
Then you're kind of screwed. And you're a lawbreaker.
Yep.
Technically, right, I am a lawbreaker. I'm going to say it. I have Blu-rays that I've ripped to my home server.
Ooh.
Watch, this will finally be the thing that causes somebody to sue me. That would really piss me off, and it really pissed my wife off. But cars and tractors. EFF asks for the right to jailbreak your car to improve its informatics and address security vulnerabilities like the one that led to this summer's recall of 1.4 million Chryslers, as well as auditing firmware for shenanigans like the Dieselgate defeat device. The Copyright Office says, okay, you can defeat laws on your electronics. You wait a year first, which is not even part of the statute, but they decided that. You only look at systems that do not interact with your car's entertainment system. So if the car manufacturer put the CAN bus and the entertainment stuff together, you can't touch it. And your mechanic can't do it, only you're allowed to do it. It's
I have a feeling you're frustrated about this.
Yeah.
And I totally feel your pain.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but basically, it's good, right? The Librarian of Congress hears these things, generally speaking. You know, it's funny, like there's been a big deal with, I was talking to Kyle Weens about it from iFixit, like, John Deere has this really great system, but they want
the John Deere thing is totally messed up.
Yeah, it's
Patrick's
not getting
stressed out.
well. It's not getting any simpler, right? Well,
it's not. No.
And as the internet of as large corporations figure out more new and exciting ways to put complicated computers inside of your system and network them into the glorious Internet of Things, it'll finally allow Shannon to know exactly when her sheets are dry and ready to be picked up. Because heaven forbid you hear that little buzz or the little. Yeah, I love the fact that my dryer sings to me. I still don't think I need a text message from my dryer.
Right,
I live in a small house, so I can hear the little song from anywhere in my house.
Those would be great for the people with mansions, though.
Yeah, well, it's messy. It's not getting any easier. No. I look forward to Congress. By the way, Senate passing CISA. Just passed it on through. Did you know, I didn't realize Homeland Security basically told Congress they didn't want CISA. They didn't think the information would be useful, and they thought it would be, they just didn't want to deal with the privacy issues.
Yet they still passed it.
Well, Dianne Feinstein get what she wants, apparently. Not that I'm bitter about that. Our hope now is that they can't reconcile the Senate CISA bill and the congressional CISA bill or the House of Representatives into one functional bill to finally allow people in government to take all of the internet at will from any large company they want to. Well, actually, sorry, they're supposed to communicate. I'm in total rant mode. I'm going to stop right now.
I think we should talk about something fun.
We should talk about something fun. Elementary OS, right?
Yes, Elementary OS.
This
Linux.
has been hopefully if you're watching this right now, for the 3 or 4 of you that stood through that rant, or you guys cut out the rant in the edit, and that would make everybody want to stay. But
it's up to Darren.
Darren has the power. I like it.
Yeah.
It took a while, but I like it.
Okay.
So
why?
Let me explain here. So I wanted to dual boot Elementary OS on a 2015 HP Spectre laptop. It's the one that's sitting right here, oddly enough, running the Element OS.
Hooray!
So hey,
it works.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny. Like the Element OS is there's one thing, like they're looking for revenue, right? So you're like, oh, well, I
so they accept donations. That's
they accept donations, but you have to like download it.
Oh, you have to put in a certain amount?
Yeah, it's like, oh, wait, but no?
Okay.
What about, so I finally figured out, at least for me, if I went to here and press 0, because I'm not really ready to pay for an operating system I haven't used yet, it would let me choose a download. So that was a little fraught, but I understand. I myself ask thousands of people each and every week to help feed my children. So, if I choose to keep Elementary IO, I will be purchasing it or donating to the cause. But download.
I like to have a trial, though.
Yes, I like to have a trial. I like to have a trial. It's not too difficult. So, downloaded Rufus, which is a fantastic tool for.
Oh, that's the USB drive, the booting thing.
Yeah, basically, it is. Awesome. Rufus 2.5, fantastic tool for creating bootable USBs from ISOs. If you play around with operating systems, get it. I had the classic, like, wait, do I set it up for GUID partitions or master boot record?
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I need to know that, so Rufus will set it up properly to dual boot my machine. So, you go into the Windows control panel, administrative tools, computer management, select disk management.
Yeah, I've had to do all that too.
On the left to the right lower pane, right click on disk 0, select properties, select the volumes tab, and the partition style entry will show up either as MBR, master boot record, or GUID, the GPT partition table. So I created a GUID ISO boot disk.
Okay.
And escape. Actually, you hold down escape, then you hit F10 over and over again to get into the BIOS.
While it's booting, so you can get into your BIOS.
Yeah. And then the selected boot image did not authenticate.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Were you still on Legacy, or were you on the new one?
I was on the new one.
Oh,
so what happened is it basically was comparing it to a list of approved operating systems. So I had to turn off Secure Boot because Elementary OS ain't on that list.
Yeah.
Once that was done, booted into the live disk, running it live. It's spivvy.
Cool.
It works, right? And if
it looks good.
It looks good. It was funny. So, obviously there's a heavy kind of OS 10 influence here. You've got a dock down here. But I should also probably explain, while I was working on this, I was also trying to install it in a 2012-ish Core i5.
Ooh.
It wouldn't install.
Huh.
I got it to install because I played around with different settings because this one I didn't have a hard drive in, so I had a fresh SSD.
Okay.
It would install, but then it boots to Grub instead of the elementary OS. So I update my BIOS. I try master boot record. Why? I go to the GUID versions because it should be GUID. It failed. It installs. I start mucking around with BIOS settings. Finally managed to tweak the settings to the point where I kill the system.
Oh,
it just launches. It fails on the hit delete to enter page. And you hit delete, nothing happens.
No.
So I did something I literally haven't had to do in like 10 years. I pulled the power cable out and I pulled the battery out.
Oh no.
What I found out when I finally, got a copy of the manual.
That brings me back to the early
Online.
2000s.
Oh my goodness. So 1992. Turns out the mem test button on this motherboard will actually wipe the UEFI settings back to the factory settings, which, mem test, wipe the battery, wipe the UEFI, right? Mem test, wipe the BIOS, mem test, wipe the, no, good. I thought it was just me. So I came back a few hours later after I pulled the battery out, and hey, got it back to all the stock settings, elementary OS, it runs, audio, video, all good, right?
Wow.
So,
Right.
well, this is like a dual Ethernet
So
system.
just don't change anything.
Yeah, I had a like a USB Wi-Fi adapter plugged into the back of it, an NVIDIA GTX really low end like 630 card inside of it.
Okay.
Audio works, feels crisp with basic use. It's a Core i5. It's 2 years old, but it's a Core i5 with 16 gigabytes of RAM, so it should feel snappy. But everything felt really good and everything worked.
Okay.
And everything
cool.
I tried to change on it, I was able to change. Like,
Okay.
you know what I mean? If you've ever had if you haven't visited Linux for a while, I know a lot of you haven't, the fact that the settings actually work is a big deal, right? So I'm running it right now on basically, not even 6 months old Core i5 laptop, and we are having zero issues with any of the drivers on it.
That's cool.
So seriously, I mean, once I got the messiness of getting it installed over, all I could think was just how far Linux has come over the years.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because we would bunker down for weekends with friends to install Linux back in the day. But like I
Wait,
mentioned,
what? I never had to do that.
well, it was getting Linux to boot in 1996 was a really different experience. That's all I'm going to say.
I was still playing with Barbies.
Well. That came later on, but obvious OS 10 influences, right? You've got your dock up here, and there's no Apple menu across the top, but you got applications over here.
So it's very similar to Ubuntu as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's an Ubuntu. It splits off of Ubuntu, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they've got their music app, Noise, an email application, Midori, which is their browser, which I think when it came out earlier this year, people had some issues with, but it didn't seem.
Seems pretty stable.
Yeah, it seems stable and it's opened everything I've needed it to. Cool. Software updater had me patched at the click of a mouse. It's clean, it's simple, it's got some snap to it. And also, if you're not, following up, Ubuntu 15.10 is here. Wily Werewolf. Canonical says the general theme for 15.10 on the desktop is one of bug fixes and incremental quality improvements, i.e. stability. The desktop is very purple, which really freaked out a friend of mine.
I'm okay with this.
You're okay with purple. I can't imagine why. So they pulled the scroll bars from Gnome.
You said Gnome.
Gnome. You know what I found on my bookshelf when we were going through books? One of Richard Stallman's books, signed by Richard Stallman. Yeah.
That's cool.
I was like, I have to keep this.
That's awesome.
But part of the reason they're stabilizing the snot out of Ubuntu is because things are getting exciting next year with Mir and Unity 8. Ooh. So it's really, really stable. Which reminded me, SteamOS is going to get really serious, like in November.
I would hope so.
The controllers are being previewed. Phoronix.com, I'll look at the monitor. Phoronix.com has some great articles like, is SteamOS any faster than Ubuntu 15.10 Linux? And 22-way comparison of NVIDIA and AMD graphics cards on SteamOS for Steam Linux gaming.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we'll be building a Steam box pretty soon.
Heck yes.
I am not a Linux expert, but I have been a Linux enthusiast for a long time. I know a lot of you live La Vida Linux. Sound out, ask@tekthing.com is the email address. Tell us what you're looking at, what's exciting for you guys and gals, and what you want to see more of in the Linux universe. But it's nice. It's nice. It's aesthetically appealing. Perhaps more so than Ubuntu, although it's not as purple as Ubuntu, but we could change that with the desktop wallpaper.
Darren, what's up?
Hacking wireless doorbells couldn't be easier with a little software-defined radio. You can learn all about it over at hak5.org.
Before any of you ask why the 2015 Roku 4 is not plugged into a monitor during Shannon's demonstration, let me tell you one thing, people. It's the exact same menuing system. But is it faster?
It is! Yeah, this is the new Roku 4. Yes, it's much, much bigger than the Roku 3
It's
as far as
huge!
width. Yeah, it's grown.
Yeah. Well, that's like 3.5 of the Roku 3.
Pretty much, yeah. So the new one is $129 or $130. So yes, it is $30 more than the Roku 3, but there's some reasons for that. First off, I definitely felt like there was an improvement. Yeah, it is a little bit heavier. Actually, it's quite a bit heavier.
It's a lot heavier.
Yeah. First off, yeah, I definitely felt like there was a speed improvement over the Roku 3. I noticed faster responsiveness whenever I was going through different menus, which the menu is exactly the same. It does have a quad-core processor inside of it, so kind of tells the tale. Yes, it is faster. At least for me it was.
Right.
The menus, yeah, really haven't changed much from previous models, but they did include a few new things with their updated operating system, which is also available on older models of the Roku as well.
Cool.
So first off, they have this new remote finder thing, just available on the Roku 4, where you click the button on the top, and then this sends out a signal. I tested it. It's really loud.
That's good.
Yes, it's very good.
Because otherwise you're not going to hear it when it's underneath the couch
I
cushions.
legit put this thing under my couch cushion and made my husband sit on top of it, and then I pressed the button, and I could totally hear it.
I notice additional buttons on there.
Yes.
Oh good, it still has the headphone jack?
It does, yeah. So it has a headphone jack on the side. The headphones I tested with it comes with a couple of different sizes, and it's very comfortable. It works just like I would expect it to.
And it's no longer sunk into the side of the controller, so you can
No,
use it
it's
with the
not.
majority of your headphones.
Yeah.
Without using an adapter.
It's pretty cool. It does come with the automatic buttons on the front for Netflix, Amazon, Rdio, and Sling.
I think I
These
know.
work great.
I know why Roku's still in the Amazon store.
I wonder why. Yeah, so those work just as expected. If I'm in Amazon and I want to go to Netflix, I can easily press the Netflix button and it automatically pops me into Netflix.
Oh, really?
Very, very cool that it does
You
that,
don't
so
have
I
to,
don't
like-
have to back up into the separate menus. So I really like these buttons. I wish that they included like the Hulu button on here and maybe, I don't know, Google Play, because those are the other two I use. So it would be cool if I could customize these, but you can't.
Hate that.
Yeah.
Well, you can do a Harmony remote.
I could.
Customize it.
Yeah, I do have a Harmony at home, so I could totally program that. I will make my hubby do that.
Big
So,
deal was the voice search.
voice search,
Did
yeah.
it work?
So if you like the Amazon Echo, you probably won't like this. The problem with this is when you press the little search button, that's basically a little magnifying glass, the only things you can say to it are titles, actors, and directors. If you say anything else like, hey, what's the weather? It's gonna say, I didn't understand what you just said, or it'll bring you to a title that's called weather. So that doesn't really work. But the really nice thing about this is because Roku just does hardware and they do their own operating system, they don't actually do any of their own content.
Okay.
They don't give you just Amazon Prime. They don't just give you Netflix.
They don't have a particular bias towards
Yes,
content.
they're not biased, and it's so wonderful. So when I search for things, I can actually get a whole listing of, you know, The
I can watch
Martian
it on
and where
Amazon
that's going to be
Prime.
available.
I can watch it on
Yeah.
Google. I can watch it on Hulu.
It's super handy, so I was really impressed with this. Another thing that they included in the new iOS is this thing called Hotel and Dorm Connect. Now, while I
iOS?
wasn't able to test this, they do have, did I say iOS? OS, operating system, not iOS. Thank you for that.
It's okay.
I'd hear about it, I know
I
I
was
would.
just starting to giggle.
So Hotel and Dorm Connect, this basically lets you connect to Wi-Fi that needs browser authentication by
cool.
pushing that authentication to your mobile device. And from your mobile device, it'll connect the Roku wirelessly. So you don't have to deal with any problems
Right.
whenever you're in a hotel or if you're at a college, which a lot of hotels have that problem. So this fixes that, and that is so freaking exciting. I'm totally taking this with me like everywhere that I
So
go.
you take the Roku. Well, actually, can you do that on the Roku 3? It's an interesting question.
It's the operating system,
Right.
and they are updating it on the Roku 3 too. So I'd assume that yes, you could.
One of the great operating system updates that that launched with the Roku 4 is feeds, which used to be
Yay!
like, hey, these movies are in theaters. And it's like, well, I don't want to know about movies in the theaters from my Roku, but
Yeah,
now they're
this
actually
is
doing it
cool.
for all of the television, all of the movies, all of the actors.
They are. And I was able to search for different movies. I was able to do voice search, find The Martian, and then I bookmarked it. So now the Roku is going to ping me whenever The Martian becomes available to stream via wherever it might be, Amazon Prime, to buy or to rent or wherever it might be. So that's really handy, and I love that they included that feature as well. Where did my putt go? My Roku. There it is. All right, so now we have some ports on here. First off, we have USB on the side. This is USB 2.0, and that's going to give you all your media playback. So you can put pictures on here, videos from your computer, whatever you want. This on the back is micro SD. So the micro SD can only fit 64 gigs, and it's only to store any Roku games or additional content that you might download from the Roku. So this is not going to be available for playback of media externally.
That said, the ability to store that stuff low. If you have a Roku 3, put a micro SD card in it, especially if you play with games, and you won't have to wait while it downloads the game every time you go to play it.
That's so true.
It is true.
It's awesome.
Yes.
Wi-Fi, of course, is built in along with Ethernet. Of course, I mean, we can't expect it without it. And HDMI 2.0 is also available on the back, so this is not the 1.6 or 1.4 version, but 2.0. So this gives you up to 60 frames per second 4K videos, as opposed to the Amazon Fire. Also, you get optical audio out, or optical digital audio port on the back.
You know, I got props to Roku for looking at not just the latest equipment, but staying
but the older stuff
compatible
too.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, this is the only one that's released in recent months, I believe, that has the optical out on here. So I'm really happy that they included that. That's very helpful for a lot of people. Ethernet, of course, and then you have your power port on the back as well. So 4K streaming on this. Luckily, Robert Heron has this 4K TV, so I was able to test that. I streamed a bunch of YouTube 4K test videos via Ethernet on our business line, so it's really, really high speed. It worked great, and it looked really, really good. So I definitely enjoyed it with 4K content. And I was just sitting there going, wow, so pretty, pretty much the whole time. HTTP 2.2 works for compatible TVs for 4K playback, so that's great. HDR playback is not available at this time, which is a little unfortunate, but they say that it will be available in the future, whenever they consider the future.
Well, an OS or a firmware upgrade or whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Which brings us to one of the big caveats.
One problem that a lot of people have been having, there's been a ton of confirmations on their forums that 5.1 audio via HDMI for Dolby Digital Plus is not working for Netflix and Vudu. So this bug has been reported by a ton of people. They have confirmed it on their forums. They said that they were able to figure this out as well in the lab. So what they need to do is push a software update to actually fix it. So hopefully we will see an update soon, and this won't be a problem for people in the future.
So you bought this out of pocket, $130.
I did.
Are you going to keep it?
I really like it.
Really?
Yeah.
I was
surprised.
Was it the singing remote, the Amazon Prime / Netflix / Sling / audio barrage of buttons?
I will probably never use the singing remote function, because I'm very good about keeping them all in one place, and I yell at people whenever they don't put them in the right place because I'm like that.
Doesn't work with children.
It doesn't work with children. Yeah, exactly. So the speed of this made me very happy. It looks really good with 4K. I don't have a 4K TV yet, but I like to future-proof. So for me, that's definitely something that made me want to buy this. And my Roku 3, I'm just going to give away to like my dad, or I'll sell it on eBay or whatever. So, you know, hopefully I make a little bit of money back.
Dad it up.
Yeah, so very happy with it. And yeah, I
like
it.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up if you want to future-proof for 4K. If you want to stick with the Roku 3, you totally can.
If you don't have 4K, and you don't need a singing remote, should you stick with the Roku 3?
Stick with the Roku 3, yeah, because you can probably get this on a deal like Black Friday or something if you do want to upgrade, but you don't necessarily have to.
Always the couponer.
Always.
We have a question, ladies and gentlemen, from Gavin, who writes in, "Hi, Shannon and Patrick. I'm looking for a one-box solution from a TV which can stream Google Play Movies, Amazon Prime Video, and Netflix to save having to constantly connect my Windows laptop. I'd like to go with a Chromecast to complement a Chromecast audio I just bought, but I see that Amazon and Google are not playing ball, so incompatibility strikes. What would you advise? Please help. Love the show, by the way. I'm an avid consumer of your work and just signed up as a Patreon. Yours in Tech, Gavin in Portsmouth, UK. Gavin,
Yay!
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And this is going to sound, I guess, along with the segment, but get a Roku.
Yeah.
Although I would say the Roku 3, because if you don't really need 4K or you don't want to future-proof, you don't really have to. Save yourself the money and get the Roku 3. The Roku has pretty much every single one of those apps available.
Right.
I say pretty much, but it does, because I confirmed it. I actually watch stuff on each of those. Google Play is available, Amazon Prime, Netflix, and then you have like other streaming ones available too. Each one will link to your account so you can watch pre-purchase movies on the Roku. And it works just fine. So it works on the entire Roku line of hardware as well for any of those. Any of the Rokus it works with, yeah.
Yeah,
so you're good.
It's funny. I mean, I would like the singing. I would like the singing remote on my Roku 3, but them finally going to flush mounting and not recessing the headphone jack is a big deal.
Pretty cool.
New Apple TV review coming next week,
Yay!
Which I do not expect to have either Amazon Prime or Google Play on it, but it will have. It's funny. The gaming remote came today.
Ooh.
The gaming remote came in a box like this big with a little tiny gaming remote inside of it. So I can only anticipate what the Apple TV packaging will be like.
Cool. It's time for a rapid fire roundup. This week is 3 things that most impressed Patrick going hands-on with the Surface Pro 4 and the Surface Book. I'm so excited about this. Are you ready, sir?
Yes.
Go.
The unlock windows on your face in the Surface Book is really fascinating. As is its little electric. Well, no, you laugh. You stand in front of it, it sees your face, and then it unlocks windows. It's kind of trippy.
That's cool.
Look, number 1, I type a lot. A bad keyboard kills a laptop for me. The keyboard and mouse and the Surface Type cover, this thing, are excellent, and not just compared to the Surface Pro 3.
He does write a lot of stories.
I type like 80 words per minute, so a bad keyboard drives me completely insane. The fit and the finish on this thing are outstanding. 1.73 pounds, 12.3-inch screen. I didn't notice it being any smaller than my 13-inch screen, possibly because the resolution is kind of ridiculous. 2736 by 1824 pixels in its Pixel Sense display.
That is a lot.
Well, I didn't realize how good it was until I opened up this picture of the Thomas Jefferson building, the reading room, the public reading room at the Thomas Jefferson building of the Library of Congress. We'll put a link in the show notes. And I went, damn. That's nice.
Still nice.
Good looking screen, like 267 pixels per inch or something crazy like that. The build is really, really nice. It's a magnesium case. It's silver like the last one. It's got the big crazy adjustable joints that allows you to do all sorts of things with it. These hinges are kind of ridiculous. I can't leave this around lest Darren liberate it. Borrow it, I think is the word I'm looking for.
He did like it quite a bit, huh?
Well, I mean, it doesn't weigh anything, and it's freaking fast. Performance, 15-watt Skylake CPU. It's rated at like 2.4 gigahertz. It's a Core i5-6300U with 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabyte SSD in this configuration. And I was looking at it, and I was like, huh. That's the magnets in there in the type cover. Yeah, it's kind of like,
yeah.
It ran, so I took like a 3 gigabyte video and rendered it in Handbrake, which I use every day of my life. And it ran, so it's rated at 2500, it's turbo to 3000. It ran like 2600 to 29 gigahertz, rendering a very big MP4 file. It got hot, but it ran really, really well. In part, check out the heat pipes inside of this. So the crew at iFixit did one of their teardowns.
Oh, I love these.
Well, yeah, it's really cool, right? Because amongst other things, they got they X-rayed the hinge because they wanted to see what was going on inside of the hinge, which is pretty amazing. So in order to get inside of it, you have to remove the screen, which is a nightmare because it's pretty much glued down. But this is really cool. There's a big honking heat sink inside of here.
Wow.
And this is probably the only thing you can upgrade, which is the SSD drive, the SSD drive, the M.2 SSD drive.
Okay.
But this huge kind of, I don't know if it's an actual heat pipe or just a giant heat sink, but it is pretty impressive inside of there. So this thing actually ran, I mean, you could upgrade that SSD if you're very, very brave and very, very gentle. No sign of user upgradable RAM. Don't drop this thing, it'll be a nightmare to repair, but I like the fact that it's glass now instead of plastic. Some really nice engineering, and the heat sink's really, really cool. Only one USB 3.0 port, but it's got a micro SD card slot like the Pro 3, mini display port, No face recognition yet, a la the Surface Book, but the new pen is kind of crazy.
I like the pen.
You click the pen, that'll launch the notes. Bink. And they've upped the pen in a big way. 1,024 levels of pressure of sensitivity on the pen. That's up from 256. Now, my understanding is the pen and the Surface, or the pen and the type cover are compatible with the Surface Pro 3.
That's cool.
I did not like the Surface Pro 3 at all. I would consider carrying this as my everyday laptop.
Really?
I would like more
Wow.
USB ports, but I want more USB ports in everything.
So
Cheap.
it's not very...
It's not cheap.
Not very cheap at all.
But it's really nice. It's really well engineered. It feels really good in the hand. The keyboard, you know, I'll be very curious, if I get to hold on to it for a little while, I'll be very curious to see how the keyboard holds up over time.
Yeah, definitely.
But I would hold it with any of the keyboards I've used in the last couple of years in terms of typing quality.
That's impressive.
It has a lovely hand.
It looks flimsy, but after typing on it myself a little bit, I liked it.
It's freaking 1 3/4 pounds, like 1.73 pounds, you know, and
That's
a little
cool.
bit lighter if you have the Core M version that has no memory.
Well, you guys let us know if you have any questions about the new Surface Book or the Surface Pro 4, because we're definitely going to be testing it out
And
quite
there's
a
a
bit.
USB charger in the power supply.
That's so weird and so awesome at the same time.
At the same time.
Ask at TekThing.com is where you can direct those questions.
Please. If you're a fan of TekThing, do us a favor, share it with your friends. We love it when you do that. We're always trying to grow the audience, and we want to thank every one of you that subscribes. If you go to youtube.com/TekThing or go to TekThing.com, you get the RSS feeds, or you can search for us on iTunes. Make sure you get each and every episode. If you want to take it to the next level, you can consider contributing to the show at patreon.com/TekThing. Donate however much you want per episode. Every little bit counts. And you'll get access to these, ladies and gentlemen, patron-only build videos. Yes, that is a skull, an Arduino, and the world's scariest heat glue gun, hot glue gun. That was it was terrifying, actually. That was like the flamethrower of hot glue guns. I don't know where you found that thing. I don't want to ever see it again. It was scary. If you can't donate, that is okay. Do us a favor, send us questions, tips, share the show with your friends and family, give our video a thumbs up on YouTube, like it on Facebook. If you can review us on iTunes, that is a killer thing. And thank you so much for supporting the show. Mike writes, hey Patrick and Shannon, love the show, been a fan since the Tekzilla days. Thank you so much. I'm sort of new to Linux and I'm running a Debian server in my basement to experiment with. I don't need it running all the time and I've configured the Wake on LAN to power it up when I need to use it. I would like it to automatically hibernate or power off when left unused for a while, like after I fall asleep during a movie being served up by my media server. I don't like a graphical desktop like Gnome, so I need to hibernate or power off function that I can separate from the desktop environment. Thanks, and here's to many more years of TekThing. Mike from Atlanta, Georgia.
Yay!
Thank you
very much.
Mike.
So FYI, he is using Wheezy. I asked about that because that's Debian's very particular what kind of thing you're using. So luckily, you can hibernate or suspend in Wheezy. There are downloadable packages available for hibernating at this link over at packages.debian.org/wheezy/hibernate. So you simply download those, install, and you're good to go. Otherwise, if you want to suspend, you will have to walk through a couple of different steps because it's a little bit tricky when you get into Wheezy, as well as Debian Jessie if you choose to use that as well. So you simply just go down here and follow the steps for debugging PM utils and fixing corrupted video on Resume, because apparently that's a problem. So
I hate that.
follow those steps and you should be fine for either of those if you want.
Bill writes in, Patrick and Shannon, what is your favorite wireless keyboard for a home theater PC? How does it communicate with your home theater PC? IR, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, etc. Did the keyboard come with some kind of USB adapter to give your home theater PC that capability? My home theater PC doesn't have IR or Bluetooth built in. If the keyboard doesn't come with some kind of USB adapter, what would you buy to add that capability to a home theater PC? Thank you, Bill, near Athens, Georgia.
Athens.
Athens.
Ooh, I've never been there.
It's a really cool town.
Is it? Okay, cool. Well, I have been using an older version of the Logitech K400 Plus. This one is about $35, so it's a decent price, but it's not too bad.
I would go so far as to call it a timeless classic, except for it's the actual upgraded version of an earlier version of the keyboard.
Yeah, so the timeless classic. I've been using my old one for years. Yeah, here we go. So this is the one I've been using for years and years. You can probably find it at garage sales now because it's so old. It's the K400R. are, but the upgraded model is called the K400 Plus, which is currently on sale.
Right.
However, if you want to, you can also purchase the Logitech illuminated living room wireless keyboard K830.
That's
So
really nice.
this one, yeah, exactly.
There's one of those in
You
my
checked
living
one
room.
of those out, I believe. Yeah, so this one is more pricey, but it's really, really nice, very good quality, and it's illuminated if you tend to watch movies in a dark background or what have you. So both of these use this thing called a Logitech unifying receiver, which is basically a little special proprietary USB dongle that you plug into your HTPC or your TV or whatever, and it connects wirelessly to the keyboard. And if you don't want to go that route, and I totally understand if you don't want to go the Logitech route, it's all good. There are also plenty of Bluetooth USB dongles on the market for like $10, $5 or less.
Yeah.
Really, really cheap.
I've got a Bluetooth 4.0 with aptX adapter. I think I picked it up for $8 off Amazon.
Yeah, so you can find them pretty much everywhere. They all work pretty much the same. And they can connect your choice of Bluetooth keyboard. So that way you're not just stuck with the few from Logitech. You can actually go with any Bluetooth keyboard. And this would give you a lot more options, but either way, you will need to have some kind of adapter for your HTPC. Otherwise, your keyboard won't know where to connect to.
It's all about the adapter.
It is.
And I know they look cool, but little chiclet keyboards will often drive you mad if you have to type a lot on them.
Yeah.
Unless you're a particularly talented thumb typist. But there's always variations on this theme on Amazon.
If you're like me and you grew up with T9, you're much better with one of those 1 through 9 keys.
I'll take dead phones for 1,000, Jim. Finally, John emails, would you buy a Lenovo product given the company's seeming disregard of customer security, i.e. Superfish and update system? Can it ever be trusted? Enjoy the show, John.
I love this question. So good. So no company should ever be fully trusted. Like seriously. Seriously. We've learned that about pretty much any company that's ever had a vulnerability to our consumer privacy. Like it's just a thing that happens.
Yeah, well, you said something really funny when we were talking in pre-show. If we stop using every company that has a breach,
we won't have any companies' products to use anymore.
Right. Or places to shop, for that matter.
Yeah. If we protested every single company, we wouldn't have much to work with anymore.
You know, that said.
That said, yeah. I'm really glad you asked about this because it's very important. Superfish was a third-party tool installed on Lenovo products to help, as they said, help with the online shopping experience. But turns out there was a vulnerability that was found that would allow an attacker to intercept your browser traffic. So Lenovo, of course, they were like, oh man, we made a huge mistake here, so sorry. So they ended up putting this software on a bunch of different machines without actually giving them any kind of proper auditing, and this ended up being a huge concern. But they did announce it as a highly severe problem, LEN 2015-010.
They did a pretty good
man
job
in the middle
of
attack.
Throwing themselves on their sword on that one.
Yeah, they kind of did. But luckily now on their own website, they have a Superfish removal tool. So it's available. And they do let you remove the problem if you have it on your older laptops, which apparently they don't have them on there anymore. So would I buy one now? Yeah, sure I would. If I really, really like the hardware, but I would wipe the entire operating system. I'd reinstall a clean one, which I pretty much do to every single laptop that I get anyway.
Most people I know, not just Shannon, not just myself, but pretty much everyone who's had any contact with the security community, generally they get a brand new, perfectly functional, awesome running machine from the factory. Not to say that they don't, you know, I mean, there's not
Who
as
knows
much,
what they do at the factory?
Well, and this counts for everybody. Doesn't matter, even if it's the kid down the street at the computer store that builds computers. The first thing you do is they wipe it.
Yes.
They zero out the drive and they reinstall a clean operating system and download all fresh drivers from the manufacturer's website.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, it's
bloatware could be pre-installed. If you bought something that's refurbished, who knows what's on there before those. So I always do a clean install. Now, I should say that because we can't put our trust in the hands of for-profit businesses, we really need to be incredibly stingy and very stringent about our own privacy, because you can't trust a company to do everything for you. So we have to be proper consumers, like really smart consumers, and criticize everything that we're doing when it comes to tech products. Well, because you never know.
Yeah, sometimes things that seem secure turn out to have holes.
Yeah, it's true. And hopefully the companies learn from that, and hopefully they start auditing their products whenever something like that becomes public. But we're going to keep on seeing vulnerabilities. We're going to keep on seeing breaches from every company that we think might be trustworthy.
And the open source community.
Oh, yeah.
And everywhere. Everything is going to be destroyed in the oncoming Codepocalypse.
So use the best products that are available to you, but use your own proper security to make sure that you don't fall prey to whatever is happening.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a lot less worried about Hewlett-Packard or Microsoft or Lenovo or Dell or, you know, the regional manufacturer, like the regional computer guys that we don't know of from whatever state you live in. We just generally wipe everything and start over fresh. It's a good practice.
Wipe all the things.
Wipe all the things. Format all the things. Reinstall all the operating systems. And we're going to get an email about using the all the things again. So before that email arrives, ladies and gentlemen, once in a while, put down the phone, step away from the screen, close the laptop, and do something analog, like visit a haunted house for Halloween. You are so Halloweeny.
I love Halloween, man.
You
I
get it
painted
so
my
naturally.
nails. I have a pumpkin.
Nails.
I have a pumpkin. I'm ready.
You're not going to turn it into a jack-o'-lantern?
No, I won't. My cat might.
Your cat might.
Oh my gosh. Pumpkin cat. This is awesome.
It's a little hot in the studio today, so if we're a little loopier than usual, I'd like to apologize and remind you, we're always waiting at ask@tekthing.com.
I'm Shannon Morse.
I'm Patrick Norton.
We'll see you next week on TekThing. Maybe. If I don't leave with this pumpkin and never come back.
The cat doesn't murder you in your sleep after you put the pumpkin head on it. Remember Lime Cat? I wonder if there's a good Lime Cat picture on the internet. Think there are any good cat pictures on the internet, Darren? Oh yeah!
People! Oh yeah,
that's-
Lime Cat. He's everywhere.
I need a bigger Lime Cat.
See, that's what I'm going to do with the pumpkin.
You gotta make that your wallpaper.
You can stuff the cat inside the pumpkin.
I'm going to put my cat in
You're going to be
the
gone next
pumpkin.
week because your cat will have eaten you in your sleep. Vile, terrible human, you will die for the indignities you've brought upon me.
I'll put holes in it so she can breathe.
Oh yeah.
Pumpkin.
No, this is better. A 1200 DPI Lime Cat.
Wow.
That's a glorious Lime Cat. Look at those eyebrows.
He's
Speaking
so
of-
cute.
Did you hear that this owner's cat was murdered in his sleep by the cat?
Nuh-uh.
Probably not true. I have no idea. It's a running joke in our head. Our cats are a little insane, I think is the only way to describe the cats in our house.
Thank you, everyone, for watching the show this week and lasting until the very end. We appreciate
The
you.
long, hot, ridiculous end. Oh my goodness. With lime cats and pumpkins. You know what we really need right now? Is an automated skull.
I'm tired.
I'm gonna stop speaking now.